Welcome to Just the Two of Us Homestead. We are Colleen and Frank, and we live in the perfect size homestead just for us in southwestern Quebec. Gardening, growing food, and preserving is one of our passions. And our barn animals, we love them so much, they're just like pets. And we're so fortunate to be able to live our lives as we do. Each and every day is a blessing. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the garden. Today I'm going to show you a lot of good things that are happening in the garden, and there are lots of good things, but there's a few really not bad things. I never want to say it's bad, but very disappointing things. Let's call them disappointments. And one of them are the brassicas, the broccoli and cauliflower in specific. Some of the cabbages are doing okay. One of them actually we're going to harvest for supper tonight, but the cauliflower is horrific. And I knew something was wrong because usually in this point in the garden, because I plant all my squashes there, so they vine over here, and when we don't have irrigation. So when I water, when the vines start getting over here, normally all the brassicas are gone. I can bring the hose along here without worrying about any of the vines. And I kept thinking, gosh, usually by now everything's harvested. And I'm never quite sure of the date or anything. So yesterday I went through and I thought, this is crazy. Let me check on all the cauliflower. Well, it's just horrible, and I'll show you in a second. So none of them have either not formed heads, or what is there is just disgusting. And the broccoli, if we have had combined what you would buy in a supermarket, maybe 4 good heads combined. I'm waiting for some offshoots on some of the plants. It's just not happening. So I want this all cut back or dug up so I can bring the hose around. And we're going to have to try for a fall harvest. Last year we did that with broccoli, and it seemed to go much better. And we'll put it in the beds once I start harvesting some things in there. So it's a major disappointment. The very first year we gardened here, I can't tell you the big, beautiful heads of broccoli and cauliflower we've had. Last year was so-so, and this year just a total disappointment. So we're going to come in here, and I don't think I'll dig them up just yet. We're just going to crop them off and just chalk this year up to very bad. And it's the thing that's so disappointing the most is, of all the things that we preserve for the winter, whether canning, no matter what, it's the thing that we enjoy the most through the winter is broccoli and cauliflower. I blanch it and I freeze it. And we enjoy that the most throughout the winter without having to pay, in our area, an average price of $5 a head for broccoli or cauliflower through the winter months. So we just don't buy it, and we usually have enough to get us right through to the next growing season. So we'll hope for a fall crop, and I'll show you now what everything looks like. So coming closer, I'm going to show you what exactly is happening with the cauliflowers. And I don't even think the pink ones are doing anything yet. So come closer. I'm going to show you what's happening. And it's just not good. Like, this is the cauliflower. And then there's this. There's another one over here. And they're all like that. Some of them haven't even formed heads yet. So everything's got to come out. Let's see if we can find a pink one. The purple ones, they haven't even done anything, and they're not going to at this point. There's nothing. So it's too bad. So we'll try for our fall crop, and that's it. And another bit of a disappointment, but it's going to be fine. It'll just be a little bit delayed, is the peppers. They look fantastic. They're growing great. But our little friend Uno, all the times he was in the garden, I didn't realize when she wasn't with me, she was eating all the little pepper heads. So only now, it's been about a week since I've realized this, I'm only getting pepper little buds now because she's eaten most of them off the plants. So now I have flowers. Now I have little pepper heads. So anyway, they're all doing lovely. If anything, it gave the plants a chance to get a little bit bigger, a little bit healthier. So we'll just have our peppers a little bit later. And she's only allowed in the garden now when we're both in here to supervise her, or she can't come in anymore because she just starts eating everything now. So here's an example with the peppers where they're starting now to be more flowers and buds. But by this point, there should be like peppers on here, and it's like it's just starting in the spring. So we'll just have our peppers a little bit later. I'm not sure if you can see this clearly. I'll bring you in close in a sec, but this is, it's either a honey boat or I think it's a blue Hubbard. I think it's a blue Hubbard. Now, I had that Japanese beetle thing going really bad. So I was getting it under control with the dish soap and water. And then I saw a few squash bugs. So in desperation, for 2 days, I sprinkled DE, diatomaceous earth, over the bean plants, mainly on the zinnias because that's what they were after. And I took a bit and I just sprinkled it on the roots of most of the squash plants. Now, I don't know if that's because of what I did, because it's just been brutally hot, like brutally hot. I've been watering, or it's because I'm getting that squash thing that happened last year, or it's the squash bugs. But two of the plants now, somewhere back there too, they're looking kind of sad looking. So I don't know if it's because of what I did or it's just a mixture of all kinds of things. It's still putting on fruit, but some of the leaves just don't look so healthy, which is disappointing. I love growing squashes, but I have this like stress thing about them when they do this. So anyway, there's big, beautiful fruit on it, and some of the other plants touch wood or knock on wood or cross my fingers. Anyway, I'll show you what some of the leaves look like, and maybe you guys can give me your input as to what you think it can be. I was very easy on the DE, and I know for the pollinators, it takes care of the good bugs too, which I was being very careful. I didn't put it near any of the flowers of the plants. I did it on my zinnias and the bean plants and on some potato leaves, and that was pretty much it. So you see here, I have like droopy leaves. Some of them have yellowed, some I cut off. And here from the same plant, there's nice big healthy leaves. So I don't know if that's like a bug problem, if I did something by putting a bit of the DE down by the roots there, if it's just the heat or what. But you can see I've put it mainly just on the zinnias, which are just starting to bloom, and aren't they beautiful? One more little bizarre thing, and then we're going to move on to all the positives and all the pretty things. All along here, I planted opalka tomatoes, which are a paste tomato, and they're long. They're my favorite tomato to grow. But see how short they are? They're an indeterminate, which means they get big and grow like crazy. Well, these are very short. They're very dense. And as I was pruning them about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, I thought, these aren't opalcas. The leaves are different, the plants are different, and I'll show you in just a second what normally, to me, what an opalca plant looks like. Just like the Amish paste and Salvatera that I have down there, it's a different type of leaf and plant. And I am very, very careful when I plant things. Anything I do in my life, I double check, I triple check. I am crazy about being correct on things. So I thought I was losing my mind because I knew I put opalca plants here. So I lost sleep over the fact that I planted 6 non-opalca plants because these would be my paste tomatoes to preserve. And finally, yesterday I came through and I saw little tomatoes, and they're the shape of opalca tomatoes. So I thought, well, how can that be? They are not opalca plants. So these ones I didn't use my own seed because I got the envelope wet that I had the seeds in. So at the last minute, I had to order. I ordered from M.I. Gardner. First year I'm ever using his seeds. And they were his seeds as well that I used for the brassicas. And I'm guessing they're going to be opalcas because the shape is like that, but they are not acting like opalca plants. So in a way, yes, I'm relieved. They look like opalcas, but they aren't growing the height. They aren't growing how they should be. So I don't know. And then out of the 6 or 7, one of them is not at all. It's probably a brandy wine or something. I can tell for sure by the leaves. It's not an opalca. It's not anything in the paste tomato family. I know the leaf, it's probably in the brandy wine family. So I don't know what happened there, but I don't know what kind of crop I'm going to get. So that was troublesome as well. Okay, this would be an Amish paste plant. See how thinner the leaves get? It's a tall, narrow plant. These aren't very, like, as dense. The leaves are much thinner. It's more like a scraggly plant. They always look like kind of sadder, long, long branches. And at the end are salvateras, the same thing. Much, much different. So these are the supposed opalca plants that look nothing like the ones I just showed you. They're stockier, they're shorter, they're a completely different leaf. They look like almost like a beefsteak tomato. They look like my Jet Star plants, actually. And I'm trying to find you. Here's a tomato in here to show you. You can see that. Is it focusing? So that would be the beginning shape of an opalca. Either that, or I'm going to have a bunch of great cherry tomato plants. I'm not sure yet. And this is the one that I know for sure isn't any of that. The leaf is more like a brandy wine or something. So I don't know how that got in there. It was marked an opalca. So time will tell how these turn out to be. But I count on my paste tomatoes for all my canning. Just going to snip some kale here for the chickens. First of all, it's interfering with other plants, and I mainly grow it for them. So I have to cut it back. It grows very well here, but it's shading out. Watch, they know it's coming too. I'm going to move the camera so you can see. They know what I'm going to do. For the most part, the celery has been doing really well. I definitely know for sure now not to grow the cutting celery. For sure, that's the one that is hollow no matter what I do to it. Because last year, all my celery was hollow, and it was mainly that type that I grew. And I still grew a few of them this year just to use up the seeds. But I grew Tango and Utah celery, I think it is. And those ones are doing great. Beautiful celery stalks. Some are bigger than others. I just keep cutting as we go along. So I'll cut a few off. Like this whole thing is a cutting celery, and the whole thing is hollow. So I keep cutting them down, hoping the next batch will bring solid ones, but I still have enough plants of the other kind that I think will make up the difference. So it's half and half this year. But at least I learned it's not so much me, it's that variety for some reason for me does not grow solid lettuce. Well, there's a few here. There, I got 3 out of that bunch. We'll go on the other side. Most of the big stalks are all on the other side. That's a good one. In the celery bed, I had planted a blue Hubbard on the corner there. Look at the size of this plant. It's just beautiful. It's already surpassed what I thought it would be. And if you look down there, there's a few of them. So I'll let the vines grow a little bit more, and then I'll start cutting off the suckers because it's just going to take over. Like it's going everywhere. And there's a bumblebee. Trying to squeeze in here without damaging anything. That's beautiful. Well, I'm going to start dehydrating some. I cut off a lot of these little guys on the outside because they don't look like they're going to produce anything. I know it's not very long, but it's a beautiful, healthy celery. I'm ecstatic because of our total flop last year, so I'm good with that. I'm very happy with that. So it seems most of the squash plants are giving off fruit. This is a Cinderella pumpkin. Some of them I hand pollinated. Some I let Mother Nature do. This is the Cinderella where it's going in all kinds of directions. This year I'm just letting them grow wild. Some of them I'm training, some are growing wild. This is at the back of the garden by the tomatoes. And this is a spaghetti squash that's down there. And these are my beautiful, oh, I just saw something. All the Japanese beetles that I thought were off of my zinnia plants. Oh my gosh. Look at them all. I didn't get rid of them. They just moved on. Oh. Oh my gosh. Oh, these still are beautiful flowers and a beautiful plant. This is a cocozelle zucchini that's new to us this year, and I guess we have to do some harvesting. And it's our first year trying it, and we really like it. There's less seeds than a traditional zucchini. It's really, really good. We'll do some harvesting soon, and I'm going to show you them all. Let's go from the beetles to the zinnias to make me happy again. I just love them so much. Okay, Frank's going to cut some of those cocozelle. There's at least 2 big ones on this plant. He's going to try and get as far back as he can to retain some of the little stump on the end. Oh, that's good. Probably a bit too big. If you're not on top of these guys, oh, that's okay, because I actually want to remove some of the branches. See, this pepper plant's getting a bit buried by those branches, so that's okay. Wow. And there's a bunch more. Just let me cut those branches because this little guy isn't getting much sun or anything because he's kind of there. He'll be happier there. All right, other squash plants, let's go. This is a black beauty, and there's 2 on here, and I know one for sure is way too big. Well, that one's not too bad, but I know the other guy's way too big. But the big ones I use for baking. As far as you can on the stem. Hey, these are the mini cucumbers that are along the herb bed. I've already harvested a few, but here's another guy who's ready. And they are so delicious, I can eat them just as a snack. But if you don't check them daily, like here's another one, and I promise you by tomorrow, he's going to be that size. And because they're green, they just blend right in. But there are some tomatoes growing, so that's very encouraging. And tons of flowers everywhere. I keep going along and jiggling them. Overall, the tomatoes are looking really good. Right now, I only can find 2 watermelons, and I would hand pollinate more, but I often just see male flowers. So I guess the bees are finding the females because I certainly can't. And they're amongst a lot of flowers. I'm purposely standing beside this because I wanted to show you the mass of it. This is a bee balm, or one of the bee balms. There's many different kinds that I grew from seed last summer. I started it in the house, planted it as a little start, and I had no idea it was going to do this. I've grown bee balms in the past, more like the reddish kinds with the bigger heads that, have like the loose petals, but bigger heads. And the plants maybe got a foot tall and a little bit wide. If I had known it was going to do this, I would never have put it here. It's gorgeous, it's beautiful, and it's just come into blossom. And I see tons of bumblebees and now hummingbirds, which I just adore, are loving it. And I do too. But it's shading all my herb garden and it's taking up a lot of real estate in this garden. So after this summer, I will dig it up. I may leave a small part in a better place somewhere in the garden, but I'm going to relocate it in one of my flower gardens. I had no idea. I don't even remember where I got the seed, probably at the Dollar Tree or something. I did it more just like as an experiment, but it's huge, it's massive, it's simply beautiful. But, and this is in a year, like one summer to the next. So I just love it. And so are the pollinators, but it's just not in the right place. Oh, there's a bumblebee now. It's just starting to blossom, really. There's thousands that haven't opened yet. Well, that's it for this morning. It is so humid. This is the first day without sun, and I'm so grateful. Tomorrow, we're supposed to get the remnants of that barrel hurricane, which not the wind so much, but a lot of rain. So I'm on the fence whether I should be harvesting my beets today. Some look really ready, some don't. So I'm on the fence. And the only reason I'm on the fence is I want to plant a second round of green beans. So I'm kind of anxious to get them in the ground. So I'm going to go in and cool off for a bit and give that a ponder. And today I got another good lot of zucchini, one little of our mini cucumbers, but there's plenty more to come, some really good celery, and another big basket of herbs to dehydrate. And Crackers is making noise as usual. So that's it. So there's some pluses and some minuses, and in the end, it all works out even. So every year's a learning curve, and that's it for the brassicas over there on that side of the garden. No matter if it's the soil, if it's the trees, the sun, I don't know, but they're not going there anymore. So lesson learned for this year. So thanks so much for hanging out in the garden with me today. And until we're together again, take care.